Hey everybody, welcome back to the Full Circle Network. I'm editor-in-chief of FullCircleCinema.com, Jackson Hayes, and today we are here to review the penultimate slash finale episode of Doom Patrol Season 2. Since the coronavirus pandemic hit, production on the show had to shut down one episode early, so this is in fact the pseudo-finale. And today I'll be joined by my lead news writer, Jacob Campbell.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm glad to be here this week to discuss the finale of Doom Patrol.
Right, so this is going to be a spoiler review, so if you have not watched the finale, make sure to go watch it and then come back here and we can discuss it in further detail. But we've been reviewing the show since episode 1, and we're 9 episodes in. And we get some conclusions and some non-conclusions. But so Jacob, let's just start with just your overall thoughts on the finale and how you thought it fit as a, I guess, finale.
I liked it. Here's my thing. So we knew that this wasn't going to be the finale because of the coronavirus and they had to stop filming and they weren't able to get everything done. So I was worried that it was going to feel rushed. Like this was going to be like a finale for the season. But not really. It's essentially just, it feels like they just they didn't get to film the finale at all. So this is just the episode before. So I'm kind of glad about that. Because it means it didn't feel rushed and it wasn't a lame finale. But at the same time, I am a little bummed that we have to wait God knows how long for season 3 to come out. All in all, I really liked this episode. It had some really exciting reveals about characters like Jane and what's going on with Miranda and everything. So overall, I really like this episode.
Yeah, I can jump on those sentiments. I mean, it was another great episode of Doom Patrol. It definitely left some things to be desired, but that's because it was supposed to be a penultimate episode. But all in all, if this had been the finale, I don't know if I would have been all that upset. I mean, shows do cliffhangers all the time. It doesn't,
Sure.
not everything needs to be resolved immediately as it happened. I mean, this one was a little more egregious than your run-of-the-mill season, cliffhanger, but it I think it worked for what it did, and I don't think I had any issue. This definitely wasn't a Titan situation where they just completely botched the finale and then decided not to, move forward with it in the same season and put it in the next season. I don't think it's anything close to that. I think this is a completely different scenario where we see, a forced stoppage, but still a great episode that builds on what everything that had been come before it. And I think we can get into the specifics, but I think we should start with Jane, just because she was a very heavy part of this episode in terms of what we were focused on. Her Miranda backstory, which I thought was very interesting and something that kind of came out of not nowhere, but just I wasn't expecting it from this episode at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't. It was weird. Like, the Jane Miranda story almost felt like a majority of this week's episode, even more so than Dorothy and Candlemaker, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
That's definitely the way it came
yeah,
off.
yeah. I thought the story was really interesting. I didn't see it going the way it went at all. With but like it made me feel for Miranda as a character and where she was coming from. It's about the same as what was it last week's episode did with the well scene.
Right.
And then ultimately the reveal that this wasn't more so a Miranda story, but it was essentially Jane's personality origin story. And the way that was done was really well handled. Overall, I really liked it, especially because it showed that even when Miranda was in charge, the personalities didn't always agree with her decisions. Because it feels like every time Jane does something, the other personalities don't like her decision. But when Miranda came back, they were like, "Oh my God, Miranda's back! She'll fix everything." But it seems like they didn't like what she was doing either, right? Like, it feels like nothing makes them happy.
Yeah, this episode they definitely turned on her again, which is
Yeah,
something that we saw them do with Jane constantly. Yeah, they seem
yeah,
to be really negative Nancys and just don't
yeah.
like to.
They're never
They
happy.
never like what they actually get to.
Yeah,
And some of them seem bitter that they don't get to be primary, and other ones who they try to send up there can't even handle. We saw it with the Hangman's daughter when she was up there,
yeah,
and Cliff tried to talk to her about food and buying things, and
yeah. She's like, I just
she's
paint.
like, I just paint. That's what I do.
I, I don't know. I paint.
And like some of them clearly aren't built for being primary, but they love to
Yeah,
be armchair quarterbacks telling the other ones what to do when they have no
exactly.
idea how to function in the world.
Yeah, exactly. But Miranda and Jane, they're just built different. They're just built different.
Okay.
But what was it? And so that having them riding her the whole time, and then everything that happened in the episode with her boyfriend, which I felt so angry watching what was happening, because like she seemed so happy with her boyfriend, and then it turns out he's just an asshole.
Right, he's just a swinger prick who
literally he's just an asshole, dude.
I mean,
was really upset about that.
Yeah, he put on the charm early on, and we saw him do the whole guitar thing, and swoon in her and ask her out on a date, and it was all sweet and nice. And then years later, she clearly she has her guard up, and she constantly has her guard up because of her father. And we see that she gives in a little, and she lets him have what she do what she wants, but then like he goes way too far with it, and just is completely out of line, and then she has to lose it, and that's when Jane is born, which was really an interesting thing to see.
It felt like the perfect way for Jane to be born, and that the first thing she did was just yell at a group of people.
She tells off a man, and then yells at a bunch of other people.
It felt perfect for her. But that was really interesting. And then ultimately it was revealed that that's the reason Miranda cast herself into the well, and that this whole time Miranda has been dead. And the Miranda that's running around in the underground and pretending to be Jane on the surface world is actually Daddy, who has come back in the form of Miranda somehow. So that was a super shocker, because I didn't see that coming at all. And so I really, really want to see how that's handled once the show comes back.
Right, so we're in, undiscovered territory right now with how Jane is going to have to live with the primary being a amalgamation of her father, or Kay's father. And it's just kind of this thing that's like, well, good Lord. Like, we know what happened last season where Cliff had to go down there and deal with the father figure. But this is a whole different animal where it's able to manifest itself into one of the personalities. And now we're going to have to deal with next season having to get him or her or whatever, however, out of Jane. And
it's like, but this also like raises the question. It's like, so Miranda never came out of the well.
Seemingly no, right? She is dead.
She's been
He's
dead.
been
so
posing
does
as
that
her the
mean
entire time.
The other personalities can't come back either now?
I think that would be what we are assuming here.
I'm
other than
kind of upset about
Jane isn't dead inside the well. The other ones were killed and then thrown in the well, seemingly. But it appears as if the rest of them are dead.
But then if you think about it, Daddy was essentially killed last season.
Well, yes, but also...
So he was able to come back
right,
now.
but he was killed, and he was the first one killed.
Okay.
And then Miranda's body went in. So I'm not sure how the...
My thinking is... So it seems like Miranda and Daddy combined in a way, which I'm wondering... I think in the comics, personalities have combined before. Like, Baby Doll and Scarlet Harlot combined, I think. Well, so I wonder if that's going to happen. Yeah.
But that'd be on brand for the show, so I wouldn't...
It's a weird combo.
I was thinking more like Baby Doll, Flaming Katie kind of thing, or just like a whiny little girl
they were
who's
super
on fire.
Close.
But
Yeah. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see how that is handled next season.
Right. So I mean, yeah, that was also that honestly might have been almost just as big a cliffhanger with the reveal.
Seriously, I was more shocked by that.
Right, because that kind of came out of left field. We knew something was Miranda was going on, and obviously we knew something was going on with Candlemaker, and that Dorothy would have to face him. But this was a whole different thing that kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And then let's jump to Cliff's poor little storyline here before they have to run off, where he's not able to go to the wedding, just as we predicted last week.
Honestly, yeah.
Which was
we knew that was going to happen though. He's like, nothing will stop me.
Bummer. I wanted him to be able to get that moment at least once, and I'm hoping that they don't, push back, and then he's also in the doghouse with his daughter again come next season because he didn't show up to the wedding. Who knows? I mean, maybe he'll show up to the birth of the baby, and something like that, or I don't know. But
maybe.
I'm just really upset that he didn't get his moment.
I was really happy for him, because like it feels like Cliff never gets to win ever.
No,
and this
never.
was like the first good thing that's happened to him in forever, and so for him to just lose that, I felt so upset for him. But I'm really hoping that doesn't become a whole thing where it's like she hates him again, she doesn't even know him. And so I want that to be handled decently next season.
Yeah, just differently. I just want to take a different angle rather than,
like,
I'm mad at you
even
again.
if it's even if it's simple as, oh, they finished with the Candlemaker thing, they get to go back to see her. That should be just please let
Right,
him
they
have
make it
something.
back in time, even though
Let him
what
have
happened at
something.
the end doesn't really point to that
That's all
direction.
exactly.
So when that
Because
happens, he finally agrees not to go, and then the rest of the team is immediately on their horse and ready to just go after the chief to help him with Candlemaker, because the cliffhanger at the end of last week where Candlemaker was back out. And so then they ship off, they go out there, and some crazy stuff ensues. I don't know if you want to go one by one to try to just going over which each character was dealing with.
yeah, sure.
We can start with Cyborg, just because that one was kind of mundane a little bit, where it was
Yeah,
his dad in cowboy form. Clearly it's just someone he looked up to as a child, as an imaginary friend. And then he kind of, they kind of butt heads at first, but then they just kind of have a heart to heart. They just kind of sit there and
Which
have a moment.
I don't know why I thought that like the imaginary friends were really great. Where it's like they're just like they almost gave everyone a pep talk. Like I was like, oh my god, this is the weirdest villain ever.
They were trying to get to people, and then they kind of screwed him over at the end.
Yeah, which I think it's really interesting that the way that his imaginary friend described it, because like all his dad did was criticize him, while he made this imaginary dad to just tell him he was doing a good job at everything, which is like so sad, but I don't know, I thought it was really cool. I also love how he's still working through what's going on with Ronnie. In fact, the episode opens with him just sitting in his room listening to sad music on blast, which I don't know why it feels very Cyborg-esque from what he's been dealing with. And out of all the side stories happening when they were trying to face Candlemaker, his was more of the ones, probably because it's mainly just the Ronnie story still.
Right. It was kind of just him just trying to work through the Ronnie stuff, which we didn't get to this week because obviously I feel like it would have been dealt with possibly in the last episode, or maybe it's a setup for a bigger thing in season 3. But he's trying to work through this thing with this girl that he likes, and he's just trying to talk to his dad because his real dad won't give him actual advice because his real dad's a kind of a dick, and then
Pretty much.
And then it's just nice to see him kind of deal with it, but then he just kind of gets screwed over at the end, but they all do. So and then we see Jane.
She's still working through her mom issues, and we realize, and we meet her imaginary friend who was like an amalgamation of everything she wanted to be.
Oh, you mean Rita?
Rita. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, Rita. The stretchy one.
Yeah, we don't even see Jane's, do we? She just kind of gets.
No, she was immediately just out.
Right. But so we get Rita's, who's an amalgamation of her mom and like the actresses and things like that she aspired to be, and that one also tries to give her a little advice, but then it also kind of just turns on her very quickly, and just kind of pushes her down where she was already kind of screwed.
Yeah.
She was already.
Because I feel like she's been doing better.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then this kind of just pushed it over. We also Larry. We didn't get Larry's, did we?
Larry didn't know because he was searching, and then he found Kipling before he could have an imaginary friend.
Right. And then so then I guess the last one we get is really it's Cliff's, who was obviously the standout.
Loved his.
Yeah, I mean
so
it
much.
was. I was waiting to see what he was going to
I
deal with.
knew it was gonna be something weird, and then it's just Jesus.
It's just Jesus from Bible camp.
I hear my imaginary friend for half a summer at Bible camp.
And then he, at first, it's very hostile. They start fighting each other, and he's trying to explain why he stopped talking to Jesus, and then
then Jesus and then him and Jesus have a heart to heart.
They do,
and Jesus accepts him. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Just for him to turn on him because Candlemaker.
Candlemaker.
It was just
it's like for a second I was like, oh my god, he made right with Jesus. Great, good job, Cliff.
It's really one of a kind, Jesus showed up and Cliff had to fight Jesus, and it was
it's only a thing Doom Patrol could do. Only Doom Patrol could do this.
And then by the end of it, they all get screwed over and they're all frozen in the wax. And it's at that point that we realize that Dorothy has to go in and face Candlemaker by herself. Chief is sick and can't really do much anymore, at least at the moment. He's seemingly dying based on what we know.
Yeah.
And he has to watch Dorothy as she puts on the boots and gets the weapon and goes in to fight Candlemaker. And that's where we're left with this season.
Which, it's weird. So when she went to hand her the weapon, she's like, I can do it myself, and she just makes a weapon. So in this last moment, it seems like Dorothy's finally gotten a grip on her powers.
At least a little bit, right? She's matured and been able to control what's going on, and I mean,
yeah,
I think it's safe to say that that she's going to be able to beat Candlemaker. It's just unclear if I would hedge my bets on her making it out.
Yeah, I do too, because Dorothy, she's such a great character. I don't think they're gonna waste her as like this sacrifice.
Just
type
one
thing.
season,
Yeah,
story plot
everyone
thing.
everyone loves her character, and I feel like it'd be a waste to do that, to not have her come back.
Right, and we also need, the chief. The chief is in limbo right now, and we're not sure. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
he'll be back for some part of season 3, but we aren't sure if he's going to make it out of the entire thing. I mean, it makes sense he that he at some point leaves the show. Maybe they need to be a team on their own, and he kind of hinders that in a way by kind
Yeah,
of being an anchor, something that pulls them back with their
right.
past. But if they're able to move past that, I can see an angle where they move on from him and kind of keep the team otherwise.
I could see that definitely happening. Especially it feels like they're still kind of growing past him, where it's like they're doing their own thing a lot this season. Because season 1 was just find the chief. Now it's them trying to work around the chief. So I think if he did leave, season 3 would open up room for them to do their own thing even further.
Yeah, I think there's that possibility for sure. I don't
Yeah.
think he's. I mean, he's a great character, but he's not the favorite, and he's not supposed to be the standout.
Yeah.
And he's something that they're kind of working around, like you said. And I think doing that would. I think having him leave the show might just open up for people like Larry and Cliff to be a little more heroic and go do things on their own.
And would allow if Dorothy does stay, it would allow room for her to grow
Yeah,
even
for sure.
further,
I think
which would be great.
right, yeah, and I think that's definitely something they'll explore in season 3. But I mean, there's a lot to explore in season 3 because season 2 didn't get to end on the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, so we really don't know where it's going to go after that's wrapped up.
Right, yeah,
But
right now it's kind of up in the air.
yeah, just thank God it wasn't Titans.
You can't compare this to Titans. It wasn't even.
Not
that
Titans.
was
Oh, thank God.
absolutely
I
awful.
was so scared it was going to be Titans.
The first season finale of Titans is one of a kind in the worst possible way, and I will.
So bad in every possible way, and they just Doom Patrol didn't do that. And I'm so happy.
Right, so I think that's about it. I mean,
Yeah, they covered everything.
yeah, I mean it's a great season.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say whether or not I like it more than the first. Whenever we have the same argument with Umbrella Academy, where it's like the first of something just kind of when it grabs me, it's just so much. And like returning to a world is always good, but I don't know if I can ever like recreate the magic of seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's always hard for me to choose. But it was an absolutely great season.
Yeah, I'm not sure which season I would go with either. It feels like season 1 was great, introduced all the characters. I've loved Dorothy this season. I feel like this season somehow upped the weird every week.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if they peaked with sex ghosts as the weirdest thing the show can do. So maybe season 3 can change that
Well,
and
they
go
tried.
even
They
further.
kept it coming back almost every episode.
That's true. The remaining sex ghosts. So I really liked the season, and I have high hopes for the next one.
Yeah, I mean,
Which hopefully we get some news about that at DC Fandom maybe.
hopefully, I mean, we don't have a official renewal yet, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
a few of these shows get some renewals. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that about covers everything. So where can they find you on social media, Jacob?
You can find me on Twitter at JacobCamp13.
You can find me on Twitter at JacksonHayes67. You can follow the page at Full Circle Cine, CINE. Make sure to check out our work at FullCircleCinema.com and like and subscribe to this channel, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment on your thoughts on the Doom Patrol finale. And we'll catch you guys later.
Peace.